Good evening and welcome to Nettlecombe Court. Tonight you are in for a treat as we tell you some of the crazy and weird ghost stories surrounding this magnificent building.
Once upon a time, there was a mystical land off the coast of Cornwall called Lioness. The land here was fertile and the inhabitants strong. However, one day as a storm rolled in from the Atlantic Ocean and the waves destroyed the land, leaving all but one inhabitant dead. His name was Sir John Trevelyan. He was seen riding out of the sea on his white horse just as Lioness was engulfed by the ocean. During his escape, his horse lost a horseshoe, and John Trevelyan travelled far and wide in search of a new horseshoe, but alas, no blacksmith could make a shoe for such a style. Eventually, Trevelyan settled in Somerset and built the house which stands today in Nettlecombe, where his horse remained his most faithful companion. On the day of his death, John Trevelyan's horse charged through the house and up the western staircase to the bedroom to give his final farewell to his master. The bond between the horse and John Trevelyan was so strong that the story is remembered in crests and sculptures around the building. Many years have passed, but on the darkest of nights, the ghost of the white horse was said to wander the western staircase, searching for his master and his fourth horseshoe.
This is a love story between Margaret Strode and George Trevelyan. And they came to Nettlecombe along with her mother Margaret in 1639 when George inherited Nettlecombe. George was an army man, so he was a colonel for Charles I in the Royalist Army. And Margaret went on to have 11 children. However, their quiet Somerset life was shattered when in 1642 civil war broke out between Charles I, the Royalists, and the Parliamentarians. George immediately left the house and went off to fight in the wars, leaving Margaret alone to raise 11 children and run the estate. During his absence, the Parliamentarians ordered Margaret to pay £1,560 in fines for the delinquency of her husband. In today's money, that's about £250,000. She pleaded that they only had £40, but the Parliamentarians didn't listen. One day they broke into Nettlecombe Court, broke into the courtyard, and they stole all of the horses. This carried on for several years, and then it all came to a head one day when they said they were going to come for the family silver. So Margaret hid the family silver and shackled 6 cows, because that's all they had left, to the family carriage, and she rode off to London to plead their case. It took her nearly a week to get there, and when she got there, she pleaded that they didn't have the money to pay the fines. Parliament threw out her plea, and she had to return home. Unfortunately, on the way home, whilst riding through Hounslow, she caught smallpox. She just made it back to Nettlecombe, and unfortunately then died in this very room on Christmas Eve in 1647. And rumour has it that every day on Christmas morning, her spirit rises from this very fireplace and roams about the house looking for her children.
A few years ago, in the grounds of the Nettlecombe estate, the remains of a wolf pack were found. And it is thought that it was one of the last wolf packs to live in England before they went extinct. And it is now thought, under these new findings, that the beast of Exmoor is actually one of the descendants of this wolf pack, possibly a large wolf. And throughout the years, a number of people have noted, particularly on a night of a full moon, that you will hear wolf cries around the grounds. And it is thought that this is the last wolf still searching for its wolf pack. There have also been findings from students of large dog prints around the Nettlecombe estate. So keep your eyes peeled when the moon is full.
Many years ago, before Nettlecombe Court was an FSC education centre, it was a boarding school. the students used to play pranks on each other as children do, this stopped after one fateful summer. A group of students decided to play hide and seek after their housemaster locked the building. 3 of the students were never found. Their friends spent all night searching for them, but to no avail. Some say the students hid in the attic rooms. People have since reported hearing footsteps above them in the night. But if you look at the side window of the house on a dark and starless night, you'll see a glimpse of the students standing in the window, staring in the darkness, waiting to be found.
This is a tale about Walter Culverley Trevelyan, an ardent geologist and botanist, arguably one of the most intelligent of the Trevelyans. He was educated at Harrow and then he went to Oxford University. For a little while he wandered around the Faroe Islands and then spent 11 years in total travelling. During his absence from Nettlecombe, he sent money back to improve the estates, building a walled garden. Finally, in 1835, he came back to Nettlecombe and he married his wife Pauline and he settled down to write his academic papers. Pauline and Walter desperately wanted children, but there was not to be. But over the years, they began to be plagued by some strange occurrences. Many times, while settling down to sleep in the bedroom upstairs, they heard a baby crying, but being childless, there were no children at Nettlecombe Court. Eventually, these nocturnal disturbances were such that they fled Nettlecombe and took up residence at one of the other properties they owned in Wallington. They died childless, and Nettlecombe eventually passed to his cousin. His cousin also began to do renovations, and in 1850, during renovations in this very room, a mummified baby tumbled out from behind some of the wooden panels. Nobody knows to this day whose the baby was, but at least the mystery of the ghostly crime was finally solved.
My tale happened many years ago and tells the story of the lady of Nettlecombe Court. She was a quiet lady who often kept to herself, and visitors to the house would frequently inquire after her, asking how she was or why she kept to herself so much. The locals soon started to notice that they no longer saw the lady during the day. Only after dusk would she appear, and usually she stayed well away from the church. Rumours began to spread that the Lady of Nettlecombe was involved in things unsuitable for someone like her. They began to believe she was a witch. One day, a visitor pointed out that a new window had appeared above the main entrance. But try as they might, no one ever found the entrance to the room. To this day, the entrance has still not been found, and it is thought that this room was the secret enclave of the Lady of Nettlecombe, the den of the Nettlecombe witch. On some nights, students have noticed that the lights in the window will flicker on and off. Sometimes the light will be green, and sometimes there will be a hunched figure staring out at them. So to finish our ghost stories, we're going to go and explore one of the creepiest parts of Nettlecombe. This is the old wine cellar, and there have been many stories about weird happenings, strange noises, and unusual lights coming from within this cellar. So let's go see what we can find. As you can see, it's quite a creepy, dark place. Really old cellar. See? Oh, can you hear that? Kate, what's that? Oh my God. It's coming from the doorway. What's that strange noise?